Welcome to the fifth meeting of the Local Government and Communities Committee in 2020. Can I remind everyone present to turn off their mobile phone? We've received apologies this morning from Sarah Boyack. Agenda item 1, the committee will take evidence on the draft fuel poverty additional amount in respect of remote rural area, remote small town and island area Scotland Regulations 2020 and the draft fuel poverty enhanced heating Scotland Regulations 2020. And I welcome Kevin Stewart, Minister for Local Government, Housing and Planning, who is accompanied by Lynn Forsyth, Head of Fuel Poverty Policy, Adam Kravchik, Head of Housing, Homelessness and Regeneration Analysis, and Alison Fraser, Solicitor for the Scottish Government. These instruments are laid under the affirmative procedure, which means that Parliament must approve them before the provisions can come into force. Following this evidence session, the committee will consider motions to approve each instrument separately. I now invite the Minister to make a short opening statement.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you for inviting me here today to talk about the latest regulations that we're bringing forward under the Fuel Poverty Targets Definition and Strategy Scotland Act 2019. The SSIs, which you're considering today, put in place the final elements of the new definition and will allow us to calculate whether a household is in fuel poverty or not. I'll start with the fuel poverty additional amount in respect of remote rural area, remote small town and island area Scotland Regulations 2020. As I'm sure you'll all remember, I agreed during the passage of the Act that we would introduce an uplift to the minimum income standard for households in remote rural, remote small town and island communities with a separate uplift for islands. This is to account for the generally higher costs of living in these areas. And the regulations do two things. First, they define precisely what the terms remote rural area, remote small town and island area refer to. And secondly, they specify who is going to calculate the amounts of the MIS uplifts. To define remote rural areas and remote small towns, we believe that the sixfold Scottish Government urban-rural classification provides a suitable existing set of criteria based on population size and driving time from settlements of 10,000 people and over. For island areas, we have replicated the definition within the Island Scotland Act 2018, and this allows us to calculate a separate MIS uplift for island communities. The regulations also confirm that the Centre for Research and Social Policy at the University of Loughborough will be appointed to calculate the amounts by which MIS will be uplifted. And given their established expertise in developing and compiling the MIS for the whole of the UK, they were the obvious choice for the role. Turning to the Fuel Poverty Enhanced Heating Scotland Regulations 2020, these set out what types of household will have an enhanced heating regime applied when calculating whether they're in fuel poverty or not. Before I briefly touch on the enhanced heating regimes, I wanted to note that the application of an enhanced heating regime is not a proxy for fuel poverty. It is only part of the calculation. It does not confer a real-life benefit to the household. Rather, the enhanced heating regimes recognise that some households are likely to have higher fuel bills because they are more vulnerable to the effects of a poorly heated home or need a slightly higher temperature, largely due to age, illness or disability. And we want to ensure that these additional costs can be taken into account when calculating whether these households are in fuel poverty or not. The Act provides for three possible enhanced heating regimes, which comprise either enhanced heating temperatures, enhanced heating hours, or both combined. This increased range of heating regimes enables us to broaden the household characteristics, which will cause one or other of the regimes to be applied. We put our proposals on this out for consultation last summer and also held a number of focus groups involving people with lived experience of fuel poverty. The final criteria, which are set out in the regulations, have taken on board the responses we have had from these consultation efforts. In particular, we revised our original proposal to apply longer hours of heating to households with a child or aged 3 years or under, and where the home is occupied regularly during weekdays, by raising the maximum age to 5 years. With these two SSIs confirmed, all elements of the new definition will have been commenced, and we can concentrate on the most important task, which is getting people out of fuel poverty. Thank you, Convener.
Thank you very much, Minister. And invite members to ask any questions they have. Okay. In that case, I move on to agenda item 2, which is a formal consideration of motion S5M 20386, calling for the committee to recommend approval of the draft fuel poverty additional amount in respect of remote rural area, remote small town and island area, Scotland Regulations 2020. Minister, do you want to speak? Or
No, I'll just move, Convener.
Thank you. Any contributions from the members? No? Okay. The question therefore is that motion S5M 20386 in the name of the Minister for Local Government, Housing and Planning be approved. Are we all agreed? Yes. Thank you. That is agreed. The committee will report on this instrument in due course. Agenda item 3 is formal consideration of motion S5M 20385, calling for the committee to recommend approval of the draft fuel poverty enhanced heating Scotland Regulations 2020. Minister?
Moved, Convener.
Thank you. Members? No. Okay, the question is that motion S5M 20385 in the name of the Minister for Local Government, Housing and Planning be approved. Are we all agreed? Yes. Thank you. The committee will report on this instrument in due course. And I invite the committee to delegate authority to me as convener to approve a draft of the SSI report for publication. Thank you. Therefore, yes, reports. Excuse me. That concludes today's meeting. Thank you. Right.